And I was talking to our previous guest, Barney Chowdhury, about Wes Streeting, that he won by 500 or so votes in Ilford North. And that was because of an independent candidate standing on a Gaza ticket. Did that come up in your constituency?
It absolutely did. I think that, as I say, it feels impossible to ignore that locally people are angry and have a lack of trust in politics and politicians due to Gaza. And in particular, Keir Starmer's infamous comments about Israel's right to cut off electricity to Gaza, which have shocked and angered people. There were also then the comments about Bangladeshi, so that was very specific, in terms of my constituency, in the way in which it had an impact. It was a very hard election because lots of people were saying that they supported me as an individual, but couldn't vote for the Labour Party, and I lost votes because of this, as did many others who were in safe traditional Labour seats, as many people felt they could not support Labour anymore. So, as I was saying, of course, the vote share and turnout was relatively low as a result as well. And I do think that there remain important questions about the consequences of Keir's position on Gaza and migrant rights, Labour Party democracy, and on what this new relationship with big business is going to look like, and how working class people who traditionally have voted for Labour, will respond to that, will benefit from policies, how we can keep the NHS free from privatisation, how we will invest, or whether there's going to be more public services cuts and more austerity. I mean, these are questions that still require answers, and the public is demanding those from us.
You're Muslim yourself, and you mentioned those comments by Keir Starmer, firstly on Gaza and cutting off electricity and water, and then about Bangladeshis. How torn were you?
Well, look, I have been very clear about standing up against the dispossession oppression of the people of Palestine. And I have, in particular, long called for an immediate recognition of the state of Palestine. That's why, I've also spoken at almost every national demonstration, local meetings, and almost every parliamentary debate on this issue. So for me, I was very clear about my commitment. Even when no other political representative was speaking out, either locally or in Parliament, I made my position very, very clear about where I stood on this issue. And I found some of the comments, made in question to be indefensible. And I've been very, very clear about that and made that very clear and very public.
Keir Starmer obviously apologised for those comments about Bangladeshis. I was going to ask we had a guest on prior to you, Barney Chowdhury, who said he thinks that there might be another Prime Minister of colour, but he doesn't believe that will be someone who will lead the Labour Party. What do you think about that?
Well, look, I think firstly, there are many people who don't feel that there has been an apology, and I defend local people and the Bangladeshi community here in Poplar Limehouse no matter what. I am following up, and to be honest with you, it's not just about needing an apology, as necessary as that is. It's about establishing what type of politics we stand for, and whether the future government will improve migrant rights and stand against racism. In the first instance, we need the draconian legislation, anti-migrant legislation that the Tories have passed repealed. And we need an end to the hostile environment. And I'm going to be calling for that loud and clear.
Given what you're saying, do you think you'll stay in the Labour Party in that case, given, issues that, they've been plain about when it comes to small boats and immigration?
Well, I think I have an important voice. I think it's very, very important. And I recognise very important that I continue to stand up in the way that I have for my constituents. They have voted me again and re-elected me. They are my priority. And I intend to take their concerns to Westminster and represent them in that way, whether that's calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, opposing austerity and privatisation, standing up for migrant rights, defending our NHS, or, the day-to-day issues that are being experienced here and, disproportionately affecting ethnic minority communities, such as the cost of living crisis, the lack of GP appointments, and the housing crisis. And, what I intend to do is continue to step up and hold any government to account as a Labour backbencher should.